I'm not sure how many of you happen to follow one of Capcom's off accounts on Twitter dedicated to Onimusha, but recently, for the first time that I've particularly noticed, they have actually acknowledged an Onimusha anniversary, and specifically the 20th anniversary to be exact. They also acknowledged the sales numbers for the remaster of Onimusha Warlords. Officially, Onimusha Warlords HD has surpassed 2 million units sold worldwide. This is all excellent news, but what does this mean for the future of the Onimusha franchise? Well, if you were to believe Dusk Golem, who most notably leaked Resident Evil Village, then you would be under the impression that Onimusha Warlords HD sold poorly, and that Capcom considered this as no one being interested in Onimusha anymore. But given the fact that we actually have facts that Capcom asked for continued fan support with the start of the 20th anniversary, and with the sales that they put out themselves, I'm going to press X to doubt on that one. I mean, after all, this is coming from the same guy that constantly tells people that Silent Hill is going to come back, even though we haven't seen a new Silent Hill in years, so take that for what you will. Anyway, roasting Fraud Golem aside, I do want to answer the question genuinely. So as stated, Capcom did ask fans for continued support of the series. They also mentioned the sales, and I think this is a big indicator as to whether or not we'll be seeing Onimusha 2 as well as even Onimusha 3, maybe even other Onimusha games being remastered. For starters, why would Capcom ask people to continue support of this game if there weren't going to be more potential remasters in the works for the series? Furthermore, why would Capcom make a big announcement about sales if the sales weren't good? To put this into perspective, the original PS2 version of Onimusha Warlords sold 2.02 million copies worldwide and is currently sitting on Capcom's Platinum title list at number 40. To date, the best-selling Onimusha is Onimusha 2, sitting at number 38 with 2.1 million units sold worldwide. Keeping this in mind, Capcom has in the past released follow-up remasters with a good amount of time passing. For example, Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster released about 1 year after the release of Resident Evil Remake HD Remaster. Also, something else to consider as well is that the remaster for Onimusha Warlords had to redo the entirety of the soundtrack, and given that Takeshi Kaneshiro was also assisting with this project, all of the Japanese dubbing was redone, and in some cases they had to replace some of the old actors for that dub. We have to assume that both Onimusha 2 and 3 are going through a similar process minus the soundtrack change, and that their biggest problems possibly could be just the fact that they have to change the likenesses of the main protagonists featured in both of those games. However, this actually might not be what's holding back more HD remasters for the Onimusha series. As we know with what's going on with COVID-19, it could just be very well that the development for these HD remasters had simply been delayed because they were not priority for Capcom. And that actually makes sense considering the fact that these are just smaller projects when you really think about it. After all, I'm also sure that a large portion of developers are working from home currently, so this would also make sense to put this on hold. Another factor that actually could be holding this back, in particular for Onimusha 3, is that it is the first fully 3D mainline title in the series, so extra effort might be required when remastering that game. To top it off, perhaps Capcom could want to give us an HD collection that includes Onimushas 2, 3, and possibly even Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, in which case this could take much longer for us to see an HD remaster of Onimusha 2 because it wouldn't be the only game to get remastered in this case. Of course, I could be completely wrong and they might actually just want to remaster each game individually, and that's always possible. It's even possible they could make Onimusha 2 HD a digital release initially until Onimusha's 3 and Dawn of Dreams HD remasters happen in a similar fashion to how Capcom handled the Resident Evil Origins collection. We'll just have to wait and see, and I really wouldn't doubt if a new remaster for the series won't be seen until possibly next year, again due to the current circumstances going on in the world. So until then, I'd like to know what you all think down in the comment section below. What do you think of Capcom finally acknowledging the series' 20th anniversary and asking for continued fan support? Are you surprised that the remaster has surpassed 2 million units sold worldwide? Do you think we'll see remasters of Onimusha's 2, 3, and possibly other titles within the series sooner rather than later? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Feel free to like, comment, and maybe even subscribe if you really enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Matane!